Hello, everyone. Welcome to this tour of Vilnius. We're going to focus on churches, cars, and cats. We'll start where most people start in Vilnius, which is the very center, Cathedral Square, with its bell tower. This area is renowned in Lithuania as the very center of the country. It also is a square where they have concerts and New Year celebrations and so forth. Now let's go inside the cathedral and see the many beautiful things inside and works of art. The architectural style is said to be neoclassical. A church has sat on this site since 1251, but the current edifice was constructed in 1779. This is a side chapel in the front of the church, and it seems to be much more ornate than the main sanctuary. Back outside Cathedral Square, you'll notice the green bikes there on the bottom left. Those are run by a company called Bolt, and they also run a card share service, which I used, which was very convenient. They're based in Estonia. You might notice the dark clouds. We never had any rain the whole time I was there, but it did snow a couple of days, and it was freezing cold the last 3 or 4 days. Just to the left of Vilnius Cathedral is Gediminas Hill, or Castle Hill, and there's a fortified castle on the top, and it's one of the highest spots in Lithuania, and it affords a wonderful view of the new part of the city as well as the old town. The Vilnia River snakes through Vilnius and goes all the way to Belarus. From Gediminas Hill, you can see three crosses structure, and I didn't climb there because it was too cold. This adequately tells the story of Vilnius. It's both modern and very old. You see crosses from the churches as well as the TV tower in the distance. Another view of Three Crosses Hill. And what castle would be complete without a knight in shining armor? At the foot of Castle Hill are a series of museums which tell the history of Vilnius and Lithuania. It was an amazing museum, and when I was there weren't more than half a dozen people in a gigantic museum. I noticed very early on that there were very nice cars everywhere in Vilnius. If someone thinks that it's a third world or poor country, they couldn't be more wrong. Next, we have a landmark church of Vilnius. It's called St. Anne's Church, and it dates from between 1495 and 1500. It enabled Vilnius to be labeled a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Napoleon saw the church and wanted to take it back to Paris in his palm. I would assume the reason being that it's very small. I happened to go inside and witness a service. St. Anne's belongs to a complex of churches. There's a much larger church behind it called St. Bernardine, which also happened to be holding a service, and I walked in as well. There's a St. Bernardine monastery here also. Due to the Bernardine church being much, much larger, you can see there were a whole lot more people there. Because it was so cold outside, I decided to stay there until everyone had left, and it was actually very nice. The Vilnia River snakes behind the church complex as well. If you follow the paths along the river, you'll eventually come to bridges which lead to what some consider a separate country called Užupis. They call themselves a republic. In the 1990s, they caused quite a bit of problems because they wouldn't agree to anything that the Lithuanian government demanded, and they formed their own republic. They have a border crossing, and it's somewhat of a artist hangout and retreat. And it's very similar to a place in Copenhagen called Christiania, which I've also been to. Here's the border crossing. And they said you could go in and get your passport stamped, but it wasn't open while I was there. Under the main entrance to the Republic is a bridge that has a swing attached to it, and you have to kind of wade through the water to get to it. It was way too cold to even try that. But apparently it brings good luck if you swing on the swing. Just like in Copenhagen, they also have their own Little Mermaid statue, which you have to look for. Central square of Ujupis is a statue called the Angel of Ujupis, and it was supposed to symbolize the revival of the area after it had fallen into somewhat disrepair. This side alley gives you an idea of the quirkiness of Ujupis and its many art galleries. Here's another of the 7 bridges that lead from Vilnius to Ujupis. I swear, Vilnius is the perfect backdrop for car commercials. What are the chances that the coldest day I would be there would be a Sunday, and my refuge was walking into churches? This was a Polish Catholic church, which is very, very well attended, as you can see, and I enjoyed that. Vilnius is also full of Russian Orthodox churches, and the next series will be Russian Orthodox. Russian Orthodox churches are full of ancient icons. When I visited Russia, the one question they asked when I left was, "Do you have any icons with you?" One thing you won't see in Russian Orthodox churches are pews. That's because they stand during the service, even the overnight Easter service. In this particular Orthodox church, there was a canopy there in the front with a cross, and it's said to be unusual in an Orthodox church. Any guesses as to what this is? When you get to the bottom, you'll notice that it's a place where you wash your feet. The support for Ukraine during the war can be seen everywhere in Vilnius, and they even have it on the front of their public buses. Vilnius loves Ukraine. Back to a Catholic church, this is actually the monastery of the Barefoot Carmelites. And there's a woman there. You can see an artisan doing some reconstruction work. I have never seen so many high-end luxury cars in one place. Finally, I'll leave you with the Cat Cafe, and you'll notice that the cats are sitting in baskets and on platforms next to the window.